I already know how bad the title sounds. I've reread it at least 20 times, and every time it makes me sound like a monster. But before anyone judges too harshly, please hear me out, because I didn't say it to be cruel. I said it out of panic, and that's the part that nobody, not even my family, seems to understand. My brother, Sam, 34M, lost his right leg in a motorcycle accident 2 years ago. It was one of the worst days of my life. I still remember the call, the drive to the hospital, the waiting room, the sterile smell, the machines. The doctors said he was lucky to be alive, but he lost everything from the mid-thigh down. The first time I saw him after surgery, I nearly passed out. He was pale and weak, hooked up to machines, the sheets covering where his leg used to be. I forced myself to stay, but my chest felt tight and my head kept spinning. I tried to be strong for him. I went to physical therapy appointments, helped set up his home, brought him food. But I started having panic attacks, real, physical ones, whenever I saw his leg or when he'd talk about the prosthetic fitting process. My therapist later said it was trauma echo. Basically, my brain connected his injury to fear and pain, and it triggers every time I see the prosthetic or even hear it click. It's humiliating to admit, because I love my brother. I'm proud of him. He fought his way back from hell. He runs, drives, and jokes about it now. He calls himself the Bionic Man. But for me, the sight and sound still cause this wave of panic I can't control. Normally, it doesn't matter. We live in different cities, we talk often, and we see each other a few times a year. I manage by not looking directly at the prosthetic, keeping busy and focusing on his face. But this Christmas, everything came crashing together. It's my first Christmas in my own house, a little place I bought earlier this year. My parents, my sister, and Sam all agreed to come stay. I was excited. I wanted to decorate, cook, make it cozy, and finally feel like an adult hosting my family. When Sam texted that he'd be bringing his gear, meaning his prosthetic setup, cleaning supplies, and the brace kit, I froze. It wasn't that I didn't want him there. I just imagined it. Him taking it off in the living room, the sound of the metal locking, the sight of the silicone liner on the counter, or the prosthetic leaning against a chair. I started sweating just thinking about it. I know it's irrational, but trauma doesn't care about logic. It's a switch my body flips automatically. So I tried to find a solution. I called him and said something like, "Hey, I can't wait for Christmas. I just wanted to talk about sleeping arrangements. I'm worried about space since the guest room's small. Maybe it would be easier for you to stay at Mom and Dad's since they have the ramp and more room for your equipment," he said. "Nah, I'll be fine in yours. I'll bring my prosthetic stuff, no worries." And I blurted it out before I could stop myself. "Sam, I'd be more comfortable if you didn't bring the prosthetic into the house." The silence that followed was awful. Then he laughed like he thought I was joking. "Wait, what?" I said. "I don't mean don't wear it. I just mean maybe don't bring the cleaning stuff inside or take it off in front of everyone. It's just, it triggers my anxiety, you know." He went quiet. When he finally spoke, his voice was flat. "So what do you want me to do? Crawl around when I'm inside?" My stomach dropped. "No, of course not. Maybe use your crutches just while you're inside. You can still use the prosthetic outside, obviously." He was quiet for a long time before he said, "You're telling me I can't bring my leg to Christmas?" I said, "That's not what I mean." He cut me off. "That's literally what you mean." And then he hung up. I stood in the kitchen staring at my phone for a long time. I kept replaying it in my head, how small his voice sounded when he said, "You're telling me I can't bring my leg." The guilt hit instantly. I knew I'd worded it horribly. I didn't mean it like that. But how else do you explain something like this? 2 days later, Mom called me. I could tell from her voice that she'd already spoken to him. "Sweetheart," she said, "Sam's really hurt. He said you told him not to bring his leg." I started crying immediately. I told her I didn't mean it like that I just have panic attacks around medical stuff, and I was trying to manage it. She sighed and said, I understand you have your triggers, but you need to understand how this sounds to him. He feels rejected, like you're embarrassed by him. That broke me. I called him, no answer. Texted him a long apology explaining it wasn't about him, it was about my own anxiety, that I love him, and I just didn't know how to handle it. He left it on read. By the weekend, my family group chat was chaos. My sister said, "He's right to be mad. You basically told him to hide his body." My dad said, "Let's not blow this up before Christmas." My mom sent the folded hands emoji, which in our family means, "I'm disappointed but trying not to say it." Then Sam texted the group, "I won't be coming to Christmas this year. Don't worry about me, clearly I'm too much." And that was it. I spent the next few days alternating between guilt and anger at myself. I wanted to explain, but what could I even say? "Sorry, your prosthetic gives me panic attacks?" That sounds cruel, even if it's true. When I finally built up the courage to call again, he didn't answer. I left a voicemail, "I'm sorry. I never meant to make you feel unwanted. I was just scared, and I handled it horribly." A few hours later, he texted me back. "Imagine being told you're too inconvenient to exist." I read it over and over. My chest physically hurt. I cried so hard I had to sit on the floor. The next morning, my mom called again. "Sam's staying with us," she said. "He needs some time. You should reach out after the holidays." Then she added, "He posted something on Facebook, try not to take it personally." Of course, I looked. It was a picture of him sitting on the couch, smiling, his prosthetic visible. The caption said, "This leg carried me through hell and back. I'll never hide it again, not for anyone." I couldn't breathe after reading it. Everyone in the comments was calling him brave, strong, inspirational. I didn't disagree, he is all those things. But reading that, knowing I was the reason he felt the need to post it, shattered me. I spent Christmas Eve alone. My house was decorated, the table was set, gifts under the tree, but it was silent. I kept replaying every moment, the phone call, his voice, the sound of him hanging up. At one point, I opened the spare room door and just stood there staring at the empty bed. The one that was supposed to be his. I poured myself a drink and sat by the window, watching the snow fall. My phone stayed quiet all night. The next morning, Mom texted a photo of everyone at her place, Sam in the middle, smiling with his prosthetic visible. They all looked happy. I should have felt relief that he wasn't alone. Instead, I just felt empty. I texted back, "Merry Christmas, everyone. I love you." Only Mom responded with a heart emoji. After the holidays, I went back to therapy. My therapist didn't excuse what I said, but she helped me unpack why it happened. She said, "Your body connected the prosthetic with trauma. You're not rejecting him. Your nervous system is rejecting the reminder of what hurt you both. But that doesn't make it okay. You need to rebuild trust." She suggested exposure therapy, slowly getting used to it, maybe starting with photos or short visits. So I reached out again. I texted Sam a few days ago, "I know I hurt you and I take full responsibility. You have every right to be angry. I want to fix this, not for the holiday but for us. You're my brother. You mean everything to me." He actually responded this time. I appreciate that. "I'm not ready to talk yet, but I'll let you know when I am." That was the first time he'd texted me back without anger. I cried again, but this time out of relief. Now, weeks later, the family is still divided. My mom told me, "He's getting there, but don't push it." My sister won't talk to me at all. My dad says, "You made a mistake. It's done. Just move forward." But I can't move forward until I know he believes me, that I never meant to reject him. I was rejecting the memory of that day, the trauma, the sound of the prosthetic snapping into place, because it reminded me of hospital machines and monitors and fear. I realize now that in trying to protect myself, I made him feel unsafe, and that's something I'll regret for a long time. I've been journaling every night about it, and it's helped a little. My therapist told me to write a letter to Sam that I might not even send, something to explain, not defend. So I did. Here's part of it. When I said I couldn't handle the prosthetic, I wasn't thinking of your leg. I was thinking of that night, of the phone call that said you might die, of seeing you unconscious, of feeling helpless. The prosthetic doesn't scare me because it's you. It scares me because it reminds me how close I came to losing you. I don't know if he'll ever read it, but it's honest. So, am I wrong for telling my brother he couldn't stay with me over Christmas if he brought his prosthetic leg? I wasn't trying to exclude him or make him feel less than. I was just scared. Scared of my own reaction, scared of ruining Christmas, scared of confronting what I hadn't processed. But now I see that what I thought was self-preservation looked like rejection. And to him, that's all that matters. So maybe I am wrong, not for having trauma, but for letting it hurt someone who deserved nothing but love.